when it comes to the AEW landscape, there are few who are as intimidating as Lance Archer. This guy continues week in, week out to showcase why he is clearly one of the most feared men in all of professional wrestling. SPD,
is he ever?
my gosh, I know that you are such a fan. I mean, we've talked about it at length about Eddie Kingston's chops. There was for the majority of the match, Lance's chest was as red as his hair. I mean, it was beat red, brother. I mean, he took some of those chops, and Kingston was laying into him. JR and the announce team was really talking about how from the minute this match started, Kingston's approach was really that he had to go in thinking about how am I going to chop this big man down, and he literally was trying to chop Lance Archer down. It was brutal, man.
I mean, he's a big redwood tree, man. That's the only way you're going to get him off his game. I mean, this was by far the most physical match in the entire show, and as we expected it.
It was.
I mean, it delivered on every aspect. It was extremely hard hitting, extremely fun to watch. And, you know, we love Lance Archer and we love Eddie Kingston, but Lance time and time again has just proven why he needs to be at the top of the food chain with some of the moves. I mean, just the top rope walk that he does is absolutely in the backflip.
That was
absolutely insane. Oh, I love that move. It is so great. And for a guy his size to be able to do that kind of stuff, it's so impressive. And it's not something you see all the time. And it just look at this visual. It's just
that's a
so
great visual. Good capture there. I mean, it's one thing to see a guy who can choke slam somebody and deliver some of the. I mean, I love the momentum that Lance builds in those corner charges that he just comes running in like a freight train.
Knock
I love
the breath
that.
out of you.
I love that. But like you mentioned, SPD, there are very few big men who can scale the top rope like that and do a backflip. His athleticism was on display tonight. We got to give Lance his props, even though he came up in the end, he ended up getting outsmarted but it showed maybe the advantages that Kingston had. I mean, obviously Kingston has built a family of people he can trust. Lance has always taken pride in the fact that he's a lone wolf, and it unfortunately came back to bite him tonight.
It did, but I still think he impressed everyone by far. I mean, yes, Eddie Kingston had to cheat to win and had to have, you know, help with Butcher, Blade, and Bunny and the whole shebang. And, you know, we talked about this time and time again, how we could cycle through Lance, Eddie, Butcher, Blade, Pac, Ray, and Penta. Any two combination, any three combination, any four, five, all of them are going to put on, you know, 5-star matches, fun, hard hitting matches to watch. And they're leading the charge for the next wave of AEW stars for sure. And where it goes from here, I mean, this is far from over. I mean, we saw online with Lance with that black eye that he got from Eddie from that weapon that he used to help, you know, secure the victory.
The bunny kind of slid those taped up brass knucks to Eddie, and man, Eddie delivers that spinning back fist pretty brutally normally, but you throw in some brass knuckles. There's no wonder why the Murderhawk came away with a legit shiner after this match. I mean, that was legit. And they had some back and forth on social after this one. Eddie kind of was talking about how he came on top, he won, and Lance just kind of wanted to let him know. Did you really? Because this ain't over yet, brother. It's far from over. I have a feeling that this is going to continue on, especially after what we saw at the end there. Let's talk about whether or not this gets an elite or delete out of you and why. And then we'll kind of get into the end of the match and sort of what that leads into going forward.
Yeah, this is definitely an elite. I mean, I don't think they could have done anything where it would have been a delete for me. And if I was Eddie Kingston or Butcher and Blade or anybody in Lance Archer's path, I'd be running for the hills. You know, like I messaged him. I said, they can run, but they can't hide. You know, he's coming for you and everybody will die. So, I mean, it is a scary time to be in anyone's sights of Lance Archer. That's for sure.
Yeah,
because
no doubt.
you're poking the bear even more. And I wouldn't want any part of it the way he's been performing in the ring. So hands down elite for me.
No doubt. You know, anytime that a match ends in shenanigans, it's gonna be controversial, right? I mean, I know that some fans are gonna be a little disappointed that we didn't get a clean finish, or that Lance was distracted for as long as he was. But you got to think too. I mean, you mentioned it last week. Jake's older now, and you can see for the first time, you can start to see, Jake's body. He's immortal, he's a man, and you could see, for him to get beat up and manhandled by Butch and Blade, who are in the peak of their physical careers right now.
Yeah, that's for sure.
You can understand why Lance, even though he has this warpath mentality, you can understand why he was distracted. This is a mentor who's been by his side since day one of debuting in AEW.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that even though JR mentioned, it might have actually turned out to hurt Lance, sending Jake into the back. His mindset was there. He knew this was going to be a violent match. He knew this was going to be just a beat him up brawl, and he wanted to keep Jake safe, right? And so I think that this whole lone wolf mentality of Lance Archer, when we talk about that in the grand scheme of things, even Eddie talked about how Jake is a snake, and don't be surprised if he ends up biting you in the end. And I think that they're starting to try to plant seeds of division between Jake and Lance. Kingston's always trying to think of how he can get the one up on his competition.
Right.
If he can plant seeds of doubt, or plant that sort of question in Lance's mind, if he needs Jake, or if Jake's a distraction, or if Jake holds him back, it certainly would add another layer of complexity to this story. I mean, as if we need more to this story. Right? There's so much going on. It's such a great storyline. There's so much animosity going on in this one. I'm really fascinated to see where it goes, and I'm certainly happy. I mean, I'm happy that it didn't have a clean finish, because I want to see more. I want to see this continue to play out. I think they did a nice job of protecting both guys. They both came out looking like $1 million at the end of this. Definitely a lead out of me, man. No doubt.